If you're not with us, you are against us on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. What are we about? We're about whiskey, solving problems, men being real men, women being real women, doing our best to be Christian and Catholic, help those who can't help themselves, kicking those in the rear who won't help themselves, and doing it all with a whiskey in hand. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, and Implicit Bias Radio. Yes, we are back on the air. Welcome to our weekly political manifesto, our attempt at maybe a witty wake-up call, part philosophy, part comedy, and entirely whiskey-fueled. So look, George Bush made the phrase, "If you're not with us, you're against us," famous. Unfortunately, that was 25 years ago. Now, kids think it's a reference to that scene in Star Wars when Darth Vader extends his hand to Luke and says, "Join me and together we can rule the galaxy as father and son." Luke, of course, chose the high road, or should I maybe say the low shaft, and plummets away rather than join the dark side. But in today's world, it feels like some folks maybe have taken Vader's ultimatum to heart. Disagree with us? Boom. You're expelled from the family group chat faster than you can say, "May the force be with you." Let's face it. In our hyper-connected, social media-saturated society, intolerance has become kind of the new black. And nowhere is this more evident than among certain woke-leaning circles. I say this not to bash one side. Lord knows we've all got our flaws, but because the evidence is piling up like unpaid bills for leftists. Bless their passionate hearts, often pride, man, they like to champion themselves on tolerance, diversity, and inclusion, yet when push comes to shove or tweet comes to retweet, they can be the quickest to draw the line in the sand. If you don't align perfectly with their views on everything from climate change to pronouns, you're out. Unfriended, blocked, canceled, poof, gone, just like Kaiser Soze. Take, for instance, the heartbreaking stories that are out there, shared on social media. A BuzzFeed article highlights one from 2024. A person recounts cutting ties with their biological father after he posted on Facebook equating Democrats to Nazis. Another shared how they hung up on their dad and cried after he dismissed concerns about voting for a, quote, rapist, which, by the way, is factually wrong. Please don't believe us on this. Look this up. Or maybe this is more appropriate. The NPR piece from 2020, where Shama Davis from Los Angeles straight up told a high school friend of 25 years, "Dude, I'm done. Lose my number," after political clashes. Joni Jensen from New York blocked a guy in every possible way, and Ricardo DeForest from Tampa disavowed his cousins, declaring, "In my mind, they're not family anymore." Now look, these are not isolated incidents. They're actually just symptoms of a broader trend. Bill Maher in 2024 in a rant slammed liberals for the idea of cutting off family for Thanksgiving if they voted for the wrong guy. Liken it to calling 9/11 over befriending a Republican. Hosts on The View, this is my shocked face, urged viewers to cut off friends and family who support opposing candidates. And let's not forget the Instagram reels and Reddit threads bubbling with vitriol, one user commenting, "I'm okay with losing 50% of my relationships." It's like that scene in Back to the Future, 1985, where Marty McFly warns, if you guys ever have kids and one of them, when he's 8, accidentally sets fire to the living room rug, go easy on him. But in leftist intolerance land, there is no going easy if you voted the wrong way. You're dead. No flux capacitor can fix that family rift. Now, before you accuse us of picking sides, maybe like Indiana Jones choosing the Holy Grail in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, remember, he chose wisely. Let me be crystal clear. This behavior isn't exclusive to the left. Extreme conservatives can be just as guilty turning family gatherings into something out of The Shining, where Jack Nicholson's character goes full on, "Here's Johnny," on pretty much anyone who dares dissent. For example, in a Jacksonville Journal Courier opinion piece, one reader shared, "My father disowned anyone who didn't vote MAGA." The reality is the list can go on and on and on and on. The reality is this: it's unacceptable on all fronts. Whether you're waving a red flag or a blue one, expelling people from your life over a disagreement is like crossing streams in Ghostbusters. It could mean the end of all life as we know it. So why are we denouncing this with such fervor? because it's not just bad manners. It's downright unbiblical. We can turn to the good book for some timeless wisdom in this scenario. In John chapter 9, verses 1 through 41, we find the story of Jesus healing a man born blind. The miracle stirs up quite a controversy among the Pharisees and Sadducees, the religious elite of the day. The man's parents get questioned, and they distance themselves out of fear. His parents said that they were doing this because they were afraid of their religious leaders who already had decided that anyone who acknowledges that Jesus was Messiah gets kicked out. Sound familiar? Expulsion from the community for daring to believe differently. The man was healed, and the healed man himself is then interrogated, mocked, and ultimately cast out for his testimony. But here's the thing. Jesus seeks him out, just as he seeks us all out, affirming that faith and exposing the true blindness of intolerant leaders needs to happen. This echoes broader scriptures like John 12:42, where even rulers believed in Jesus but wouldn't confess it for fear they would be put out, or warning that a time is coming when everyone who kills you will think they are offering a service to God. The point? Intolerance in the name of righteousness is basically as old as the human species, and it's almost always wrong. Jesus didn't expel the doubters. He engaged them, healed them, loved them. He dined with tax collectors and sinners, not just the echo chamber of disciples. If the Son of God could bridge divides wider than the Grand Canyon, surely we can tolerate a differing vote at the dinner table without turning into Jaws, where everyone's screaming, "Oh, I think we're going to need a bigger boat." That's the big way to escape the family feud. You might remember Airplane, that classic comedy. There's that hilarious line, "Surely you can't be serious." I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Well, we're serious too. This tribalism, it's tearing society as we know it apart. We've got to laugh at ourselves, reference a little Ferris Bueller's Day Off wisdom. You know, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around every once in a while, you could miss it. So don't miss the people in your life over a difference in opinion. Embrace the debate, share the pie, and remember, disagreements don't mean disownment. So raise a glass to uniformity, but to unity in disagreement, maybe more so. Because in the end, if you're not with us in tolerance, well, you're still welcome. You're welcome to share a weekly whiskey, kick back, and enjoy our Implicit Bias Radio. Weekly whiskey time on Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Welcome into the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair. And man, have we got a crew here for you this week. Gonna be a show that's tons of fun, as we also tell you about the specials that are available this week at Mr. Lester Steakhouse. I say this week, this month at Mr. Lester Steakhouse, because they've got a weekly whiskey special that's just absolutely obscene. Let me introduce you to the crew who's here first. Caleb, you want to say hello?
Hola.
You can't say hello, can you? You can't. When I ask, do you want to say hello? That's a yes or no question.
I am horrible at following direction.
That is not shocking. That is not shocking. At the bar, the Mr. Lester's TSPL, we've got another great member of the crew here. He is a member of the OG crew. He is known as K&B. He is Grant Galatas of William S. Nacall Jewelers, because he's from Kennebra, and also his favorite color is purple.
Not correct.
But not correct? What is correct?
Green. I think I'm more of a green kind of person.
Oh, so you're more of a St. Patty's Day just passed.
Look, the purple is not necessarily an LSU purple, so I'm not a fan of the K&B purple.
Is that why the socks I gave you with K&B are still sitting on the thing at your office?
They're marinating. They are marinating.
They're marinating. Cool. No worries. No worries.
Good to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you, as always. We love having OG members of the crew here. And sitting next to him is Chris Richard of Champagnes in Abbeville, a member of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. Chris, it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's great to be back once again. Looking forward to sipping some good juice this evening and see what goes on.
So you know what's always fun is when a plan comes together, when you know you're working in synchronicity with not our plan, but his plan. How do I know that happens? Because we happen to have a bottle that was given to us by our friends up in Monroe from KMLB. Alan Rawls brought us a bottle of Crittenden's. It's their cigar blend.
Stogie Batch,
which is their version of a cigar blend from Crittenden's. Well, Chris is coming on the show tonight. He shows up with a pick, as we always do, from an Implicit Bias Liquor Collective partner. And what distillery did he bring? he brought Crittenden's, and it is a wonderful pick from a cut above Crittenden's Distillery, which funny because we were talking about comics out of Biloxi, and this is out of South Mississippi, right, Chris? I mean, tell us a little bit about this Crittenden's that you brought in for us to taste here during our weekly whiskey segment.
All right, so we got Crittenden's cut above, double oaked. It's a 5-year bourbon that's distilled right there in Kiln, Mississippi. It's ready to go. It's got all the notes that we're looking for.
Okay. So I had asked Caleb when he first tasted it. I was like, the age statement on this, I think, is going to shock you. So we're going to start with Caleb on this one, just on the age statement, because when you tasted it, you went, man, number one, what's the proof? And you got it wrong, which I'm going to make sure and we're going to talk about 5 or 6 times because it doesn't happen often.
Look, I can be wrong. It's okay.
But outside of that, I knew the age statement would shock you.
Yeah, I never would have guessed 5 years because it's got more flavor than you expect. And normally at a 5-year, at a younger bourbon or younger whiskey, you get very choppy flavors. It doesn't transition very well throughout the entire palate. You normally get more of the alcohol burn up front and then these really abrupt, sharp edges on your palate. This goes down smooth. On the nose, I was trying to figure it out. You mentioned evergreens. I do get kind of like a spruce or a pine.
Yeah.
And it smells phenomenal. It's very, very complex. And then you don't get that on the palate. You don't get that same level of nature, I guess I'll use. It's very smooth.
You don't get that level of earthiness
Right.
that you would expect from the nose. I'm with you. I think you get an incredibly smooth, really bold and deep flavor that you don't normally get on a 5-year whiskey.
Yeah,
Normally you got to go 8 to 12.
I've never had a 5-year-old bourbon like this that tasted like this.
I'm going to argue that you have.
When?
So a few years ago on the show,
Good luck having me remember that.
I brought it. I could have said a few days ago on the show, you wouldn't remember it. But I brought in a 375 out of a very small boutique distillery from Kentucky. And we're going to talk about it from this perspective. It was a 5-year liquid that everybody thought was 12. But we'll talk about why that's important and why the comparison here to this is highly, highly relevant. All right. So Grant, I'm curious as to what you thought about this one. You got yourself a nip at the bar, and I'm wondering what you got off of this Crittenden's pick from Champagne's in Abbeville, a cut above bourbon.
Before we go there, can y'all explain that? Can y'all explain how a 5-year bourbon like that has such a mature taste? Is there something in the process that just
It's going to be where it's aged, right? So you're looking at down here, a lot more humidity. You're going to get some temperature fluctuation, but you're not going to get these freezing cold winters, right? And what you have to look at too in Mississippi is who controls all the alcohol distribution in the state of Mississippi?
The mafia.
The state of Mississippi, the mafia, right? So to be a distiller in Mississippi means that you didn't get caught moonshining and then decided to go legal. That's just kind of how it is. You have Mississippi ABC, their Alcohol Bureau Control. They are the distributor for the state. So it's very, very hard to do that there. So I'm sure they started off micro distilling, getting their stuff right. And then when they had their position ready to do this, they said they knew where they wanted to put their rick house. They knew where they wanted to age it to get it the most flavor, and they did their research well.
Here's
environmental factors.
I was about to say, so you've got environmental factors. That's number one. Number two, then you have the randomness that is bourbon. Because the aging process, literally you will have the same distillate put into barrels that were made out of the same tree, that were put in the same rick house right next to one another, and they will taste completely different.
So very difficult for them to repeat this process.
It's impossible for them to repeat this bottle because this is a pick. It's a barrel pick.
Right.
This one barrel came out, and yeah, when you say unobtainium, this will never happen again.
Right.
And that's one of the beauties, I think, of single barrel picks, which is you are drinking one of one.
Yeah, because I don't remember us talking like that before, to where y'all said that the age statement is absolutely crazy. It tastes like a much more mature bourbon.
You'll get a couple every now and then, but you'll also find that there are just a lot of age statements where you go, okay, we can tell this is probably going to be 8+ years right out of the gate.
Right.
But with this one, it does not drink like something that's only been in the barrel or had only been in the barrel for 5 years. It drinks like something that just has much more complexity and depth to it
Right.
than most of the stuff.
Well, you know my MO. I immediately look for sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little bit of caramel, a little bit of vanilla in this. I mean, it's double oak, so you got that. But it's got a really, really nice profile.
So I get, do you get root beer? I get kind of root beer.
Like
on this.
the old Zatarain's root beer mix.
I get a root beer profile to this on my palate.
Palate way too old to pick that out of it for me.
Oh, I was about to say I'm old. You're older than me, and that's okay. But
Y'all had a little jar of that Zatarain's root beer mix in your house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
okay, so
It's very good. It's got a really good taste.
speaking of old, I'm curious as to what Walker gets off of this one because Walker is consuming again, and he is back with us in the Mr. Lester's TSPL.
This one's really, really good. I enjoy this a lot. I do get, now that you said root beer, I've never had the Zatarain's root beer, but I get like a little hint of a different, like
Okay.
just a root beer flavor.
Yeah.
But it's good. I mean,
Sarsaparilla.
it's nothing too spicy or strong really, and it goes down smooth.
So I think that's one of the things I like about this is if I had to guess, and I don't know the mash bill on this one out of the gate, I would not guess that this is a high rye mash bill.
I wouldn't think so.
I get the bigger caramel, brown sugar, root beer-ish flavor profile, and I get that sweet that just kind of flows into infinity on the palate, as opposed to getting that spice that you might expect. It's also probably why at 112 proof,
Ooh.
it drinks as smoothly as it does.
So I was just a little over my guess of
You were.
116.
But that's okay. Yeah. So this one to me, I could sit here and nose hump this most of the evening because while you do get that spruce, it's more like, I don't want to say spruce or evergreen, but it's almost like burnt evergreen. That's kind of the nose I get. So I get kind of the char on it, but then I get a little of that evergreen. So if you've ever been in and I'm going to go down the Caleb Morse description, if you've ever been in a pine forest that at one point got struck by lightning and had burned or something like, there's a distinct aroma to that forest. And that's what I get on this. And it's a beautiful smell. If you're out in the woods and you get there and you're like, man, what is that? And you know what it is. And then when it rains, that odor really starts coming out of the wood that's still charred, and it might be stumps, it might be on the ground, pieces that just didn't completely disintegrate. That's what I get.
Well, and that makes sense too, because, with how this is aged, the majority of your flavor comes from the barrel. That's where the majority of that flavor comes from. So now I don't think they're using pine barrels.
Oh, absolutely not.
It's way too porous for that. But you're going to get that good Southern flavor profile out of this.
I absolutely believe that you get the profile. So Chris, tell us how y'all came to pick this particular offering as opposed to some of the other offerings that you guys had from Crittenden's Distillery.
Absolutely. So we drove down there. We spent the day visiting with Matt Crittenden. He took us through the process of everything inside the distillery, took us out to the rick house, and started tapping the barrels right there so we could sample it straight from the barrel. How amazing is that? But you talked about the environmental factors and the heat and everything else here in the South. That was on Halloween Day, October 31st, and we were still just sweating buckshots because it was so hot out there.
So the temperatures do change. You can talk about climate change all you want. Yeah, we call them seasons, and sometimes they move month to month. Sometimes they move week to week down here in the South. So those temperature changes. So when you think about, we don't necessarily get the extreme changes. We don't get them as often, but we sometimes do. I mean, for those who live in the South this week, it was 80 degrees on Saturday. And by Monday,
We had
it
hail.
was 30 something degrees waking up. So you get 50-degree temperature changes overnight, but you don't get them like they get in Kentucky, where they get them that much more frequently than we do. So that's something else that contributes. Just it's the frequency, it's the airflow. Kiln is not that far off of the Gulf of Mexico either. So you're probably also dealing with some salinity in the air, because everything basically, for those who don't know, if you put a metal sign in Gulfport, Mississippi, which is right on the Gulf, give it about 6 years. The salinity in the air just eats everything. So you have to wonder if that doesn't play a role into the factor as well, because I do get almost a little salty sweet on this, on the palate. I don't know if it plays a role, but what I know is that, man, it is thoroughly enjoyable. And like Walker said, it sits so nice, it goes down so easy, and it makes you want another sip. All right, so Caleb, let's rate this. The Morse Whiskey Rating Code. For those who don't know how the Morse Whiskey Rating Code works, red, I wouldn't drink it even if it was free. Yellow, I would only drink it if it was free. Green, I would buy it. Blue, I seek this out. This is something special, and the liquid that's in the bottle, a lot of times on those will certainly exceed the price. We will do that and play What Would You Pay for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. So Caleb, first of all, where would you rate this? A red, a yellow, a green, or a blue?
I'll be honest with you. I don't want to give it a blue just because you're sitting right there, Chris. But but man, this is a blue. It's got the complexity. It's got the nose that's just completely different. It's got the flavor I like. I've got enough burn. This hits on everything that I'm looking for in a solid drinker. So blue 100%.
All right. Grant, we'll come back and do What Would You Pay, Caleb. We'll give you a little extra time. Grant, where would you rate this? Red, yellow, green, or blue?
I'll have to give it a blue as well. It's pretty refined in the exactness of its taste.
I love where you are here because I don't think it's just refined. I think it's mature as well. It does
For
not
being so
drink.
young, yeah.
What's that?
For being so young.
Correct. All right, Walker, where do you rate this? Red, yellow, green, or blue?
Blue.
3 blues out of 4 potential. You're going to get 4 for 4, Chris. This is a unanimous blue here on Implicit Bias Radio. Okay, so very quickly, because I know that's the 1 minute finger. You turned it into a pen.
We got time.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so then let's play What Would You Pay for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. Walker, we're going to start with you. What would you pay for this Crittenden's 5-year-old store pick from Champagnes in Abbeville, a member of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective?
$65.
$65, Bob. All right, just above the $10 per year rule, which I like. Caleb, what about you?
Well, now I got to rethink where I'm going.
Oh, wow.
$62.79.
Thanks for making this easy for me to remember. 65 and then what? 62.79.
79.
Yeah, 62.79. All right, Grant, what about you?
Double nickel, 55.
55. All right. It's a store pick, and store picks to me always carry or should carry a little more value. I know where Crittenden's a lot of times sits in the market, so I'm struggling, but I'm going to go purely liquid in the bottle. Liquid in the bottle compared to other liquids I've had in the bottle. This is $70 all day long. Easy. So, Chris, you are the man with the plan who has the price. Where does this come in at a What Would You Pay at Champagnes in Abbeville?
Well, we have it at $52.99.
$52.99. That means
Bruh.
Grant Gladys,
Yes.
A&B, bruh, from Kenna, my brother, wins at $55. Yeah, this is a bargain at $52 and change. I mean, an absolute bargain. I would well pay significantly more for the liquid that's in this. Oh, come on, Grant. You know you enjoy putting that on. For those who want to see what Grant looks like wearing the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain, watch us on YouTube, Instagram, X, Facebook, and thank you to now 10,000 followers on our Facebook page. We appreciate
should
you
do a
liking the show.
giveaway.
We are, and I'm working on something special probably for next week. I just didn't have time to do it because it approached so quickly.
What if we give away a pair of your used underwear?
So you want us to go under 10,000 is what you're telling me. That is probably not going to happen. All right. A Crittenden's from Champagnes in Abbeville. Chris, we appreciate you being here and hope that the rating has lived up to exactly what you expected when you picked this barrel from Crittenden's of Cut Above.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having us here once again and sharing some of the good juices that we have down in Abbeville.
Yeah, if you want to get a bottle of this, there's only one place to get it. You got to go to Champagnes in Abbeville. So take your trip, head down to Abbeville. It's really not that far if you live in Lafayette or somewhat east of Lafayette or even south. It's not too bad. But you want to make that trip, get that bottle because I'm sure they will run out soon. Hang around. We're going to start solving the problems of the world 1 or 5 or 8 whiskeys at a time. Because guess what? If you're not with us, you're against us on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Solving the problems of the world. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Welcome back to the Mr. Lester's Top Secret Podcast Lair. Don't forget, Mr. Lester's, the only 5-star steakhouse between New Orleans and Houston. Actually, it's the only 5-star restaurant between New Orleans and Houston. And their whiskey special during the month of March. You've got this weekend and next weekend to go get it if you dare. 5 pours, a 5-pour flight of $17.92. And let's see if we can rattle off all the pours that are a part of this.
Foolproof.
Caleb's working
Cask strength.
backwards.
Well, look,
It is foolproof.
I
So-
started the one I like the most.
So single barrel,
Yep, single barrel,
sweet wheat,
sweet wheat,
sweet wheat, 12-year
12-year
cognac cask.
cognac cask.
Foolproof.
Foolproof.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the 5. That 5 pour flight, a mere $30 at Mr. Lester Steakhouse. The Heritage editions of Jack Daniels, $10 a pour. Are you kidding me? Just if you like whiskey and during the month of March you feel like you might want a little nip with dinner or before dinner, Mr. Lester's is the place to go. Best prices around, great selection, and you will not eat anywhere between New Orleans and Houston like you will eat at Mr. Lester Steakhouse. PETA approved slaughterhouse providing steaks. Please don't believe us on this. They're just that good, that tender, and you can taste the difference.
I hear that Willie Nelson just caresses the cows before they're killed.
Oh, I don't know. That actually probably would take PETA out of the approval.
It's a contact high.
That's funny. Ring the bell. All right. At the bar, we have a new member of the crew. He's back with us. He is the consigliere, Chris Castro, on the show. It's great to have you back with us, Chris. Chris is partaking in Christian Catholic Lent around here, which means you actually decided to not partake during Lent, which we're going to honor on the show.
Yep, that's correct.
So sorry that you missed it, but in a way, I'm not, because I got the whiskey and you ain't got none because you can't afford it. All right, let's get into the
trip to Abbeville. Let's say that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, for after Lent, right?
Oh yeah, I'm preparing. Don't worry.
Well, look, he's not drinking now to mean he can't purchase.
Correct.
Exactly.
He said not consume. He didn't say not purchase. That's two totally different things. All right. Big question to me, because obviously the material from what's going on in the Middle East is ad nauseum. I mean, there's just so much there. There's too much there. The one big question that seems to not be explored enough in our implicit bias is this. Is that there have been claims coming out of the Middle East that Bibi Netanyahu kind of went the same route as the Ayatollah Khomeini, right? And that is not disrespect to him. I'm actually trying to pronounce the name correctly. If you don't believe me, I'll try to pronounce Khomeini again. But there are people who have reported and said that Bibi Netanyahu was killed in a strike from Iran. I'm curious as to the brief amount of research that was done here in the Mr. Lester's TSPL, what our takeaway is, because we were initially told that it didn't happen, and then we didn't see or hear from Bibi Netanyahu for several days. And then we see a video, and the video obviously, after brief scrutiny, turns out to be AI. Mm-hmm. So we don't hear from him again. And then we get another video. Oh no, we're all good. And after about a day and a half, take a guess what we find out. That video is AI as well.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it an Indian reporter that originally did the article on the fact that his home was hit?
I thought it was Pakistani.
Well, yeah, those are way different regions, actually.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. I thought it was, but I mean.
I read Indian. Look,
okay.
I'm not sure. And when we say that, that's dot, not feather. You have to clarify. But I also read that, and I couldn't find anywhere that I could find factual proof of it, but that he was arrested for reporting that. I saw plenty of rumor, but I couldn't find anything that I would say is definitive.
Here goes some of the question for me, which is, yeah, none of the reporting, I don't want to say the reporting hasn't been credible. The reporting has not come from sources that in the past were recognized as, oh, that's a credible source, we acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. On the same hand, it's real easy to prove if he's not. If he's still with us, it's really easy to prove that he is. So my question becomes, and Grant, this is where I like to bring you in because you like to work through this logically. If he's still alive, why not just bring him out and let him do a press conference? Why not just bring him out and let him answer some questions in real time? Give him enough time to put his foot in his mouth like U.S. politicians do all the time when they talk too much.
I've been keeping tabs on this. I haven't been keeping real close tabs, but initially when we first took out the Ayatollah,
Ayatollah Khomeini?
Yeah, when we were growing up, it was always with a K. It was always Khomeini, but now they got so many different pronunciations for it.
I think we've always been pronouncing it incorrectly.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say Khomeini because that's what I know.
But that's what they say in Kenya.
When was the Netanyahu strike supposed to have happened? Because I know early on we took out their leader, we took out the Ayatollah. Boom! It was news. If the reverse is true, I would imagine Iran would have tried to strike back initially, just as soon as the Ayatollah was taken out.
Well, that's interesting because when you look at some of the photographs they put out, his house was struck in 2024. And a lot of the imaging they're putting out now of a home that's been destroyed is of the home that was destroyed in 2024. That part of the rabbit hole I was able to go down. But this supposedly happened over the weekend, if I remember correctly, right?
No, it was
last week.
before. It was 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
So
and
in response to
Correct, to the
all in
initial-
response
yeah.
to all this other.
It's interesting because I can't even fathom why they wouldn't. I'm sure it would be all over Iranian television, so I'm sure some sort of a news source is saturated as it is over there with all of the news outlets, that somebody would have gotten it just because of the Iran reporting.
So the interesting part to me is when you start to think about news reports, and Iran would certainly want to get that word out there. No doubt they would. But remember, Iran right now is shutting off internet to their own citizens. I mean, they are really restricting communications, which makes me wonder, because, the U.S. government would never censor communications amongst U.S. citizens.
No.
It would never do
Not for a 75th time.
No, we wouldn't do that on Facebook. We wouldn't take people who were just telling stories and telling truth, and we wouldn't suppress them on.
Well, and what you have to
wait, we did.
What you have to look at too is look how fast any information, good or bad, spreads. Right? Did y'all see all the social media posts about like the 300? I'm gonna call them CAG because that's what it actually is called, Combat Action Group. About the 300 CAG guys that were supposedly taken hostage in Iran. Y'all saw those?
I did not see that.
Well, it's 100% BS. But I had people asking me, they're like, "Well, why were they traveling in such a large number?" What? There's not 300 CAG. There might be. There's not 300 CAG individuals out there that exist at one time. But information spreads so quickly, no matter what. And I'm curious as to why we haven't seen a better response from Israel on this. I mean, we saw the video you sent us. He's talking in a coffee shop. And look, Reuters did a thing on it where they talked about, we went in, we looked at the video. There is a legitimate place. They looked at the metadata. That coffee shop exists. A video was shot there.
But it doesn't mean it was that video that was shot there.
There's another AI one that came out with another person. They had Trump doing the same thing.
Oh, I've seen AI with the new supreme leader from Iran in the same coffee shop.
Count my fingers, right?
Correct.
Because that's a response to the other video where he had 6 fingers on his hand. But in the video you sent, it talks about how did his coffee not spill. When you look, Israeli coffee is stout. I've had it before.
It's not that stout.
It's not that stout. What caught
It's not
me off,
sludge.
Yeah. What caught me off guard is when you watch the full video of that, he goes to put his left hand in his pocket. And like Marty McFly didn't have pockets like this. He had self-lacing shoes, but that pocket opened up and swallowed his hand. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
So, Chris, this is my question. I mean, attorneys, as a lawyer, you deal in deductive logic all the time.
Try to.
If ABC, then DEF, right? The problem that I have with all of this is that if he's alive and okay, because it is possible there's something in the middle where maybe he is injured, maybe he is technically still alive, but not of sound mind and body. Why not, if he is okay, why not just trot him out and have a conversation with him?
I agree. That's it would seem to make sense to do that. I mean, that would support the Israeli government and the people.
So if he is okay and they could do that, then what is the only reason why they wouldn't? I mean, there's the deductive logic of it, right? Mm-hmm. If he's okay and they could put him out in front of everybody and completely dispel all of it, there's one other option, which is the Israelis want to keep OPSEC, operational security, and keep the Iranians guessing. Right. Did you get him? Did you not get him? We don't want you to know where he is. We don't want you to be able to track him. And maybe, just maybe, the Israelis are just as suspicious of where Iran has spies in their government as the Iranians maybe should be or should have been about what spies the Israeli government had in theirs. So there is that possibility. But for the most part, it's like, I am shocked that we have not gotten a definitive answer. And the longer it goes, the more it leads me to believe that he's either no longer with us or he's non compos menti in some way, shape, or form, right? He is not there and able to answer cognitively a question. So, I mean, I guess the ultimate question here is, we had Biden. Does Israel now have Netanyahu the same way?
You mean, will there be a tall Netanyahu?
I mean, will there be a tall one? Will there be a short one?
Yep.
Will there be one adjusting his mask at his jawline? That's what I mean.
I mean, you would think in a close knit battle that finding out that you took out their leader would be to some morale, some sort of a strategic advantage, just based on morale. But right now we have total air superiority. They're back on their heels. We're just decimating the country. I mean, the only thing that's not a non-factor, but up in the air right now is the Strait of Hormuz and protecting that.
I got your Strait of Hormuz when we come back. How's that?
Exactly.
Walker gave me the 1 minute finger. We'll come back, Grant. We'll pick up where we left off as we continue. Final segment of hour 1 already, Walker?
Yep.
This is Implicit Bias Radio. If you aren't with us, you are against us on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. The question is, what does being with us mean? Well, it probably means having a couple of weekly whiskeys. It probably means running your mouth just a little bit, and it means definitely disagreeing and being friends when it's over. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Caleb Morse is here, our co-host in the chair like mine. At the bar, we have Chris Castro, the consigliere, and we have K&B, Grant Galatas, who, Grant, we haven't said this in a while on the show. You have a moniker that I don't know how I stopped using it. Maybe we used it too much, but I want to make sure that we keep what, Grant?
Which one? What, K&B?
No.
What?
Big a bet of diamonds for less. Yeah. That's another reason why he's Kennebra. Big a bet of diamonds for less. Yeah. Straight out of New Orleans, and we love him for it. It's Grant Galatas of William S. Nacol Jewelers. Speaking of which, we're about to roll from March to April, which means we're that much closer to Mother's Day. They just rolled out of Valentine's Day in February. So they're in that, maybe we'll call it a little bit of breathing room between Valentine's Day and Mother's Day.
Grant.
Before we hit the doldrums of summer, yes.
Yes.
Everyone goes to the coast. Nobody's doing anything but renting condos on the beach. So
Not a bad place
myself
to be.
included. But
Yep.
but yeah, I mean it's very seasonal. You
Yeah.
go Christmas and then Valentine's Day and then Mother's Day and then go get drunk on the beach.
Hey,
Until next Christmas.
What's the biggest diamond you've ever physically held, actually?
Oh wow. 15 carats, I believe.
How big is that?
15 carats by definition.
No, yeah, but how freaking big is that? Is that
between
like
a quarter and a doubloon?
Is that 40 millimeters?
Oh geez, I don't even remember the millimeters on that.
A golf ball.
No,
A golf
it
ball
wasn't-
is 37 millimeters.
Yeah, it wasn't quite that large. But we actually had a older customer near and dear to us, and a little bitty old lady, and she always wore an 8-carat round. And the poor thing, every time she brought it in, I mean, it's sitting side to side because her little bitty knuckle and that stone would just flop back and forth.
Wow.
But yeah, but with the lab grown stuff now, I'm sure we're going to see some a lot bigger. that
See,
are- that are
Caleb's
a
over
fraction
there
of the
wondering,
price.
and I was going to tell him I've held some pretty big stones in my life. They're my own, but that's a whole different story.
There you go.
You set yourself up for that
Yep,
one.
yep.
All right. So, Grant, we were talking about Strait of Hormuz. We were talking about what's going on in the Middle East. And this is one where I know we're going to need the consigliere on this one, because as a former reporter, there are certain rules that you want to follow. They're not necessarily unwritten rules. Some of them are explicitly written, and Caleb will talk to us about that. But if you're a reporter and you're a reporter during a military operation, during a law enforcement operation, there's certain information that you just don't want to give away. There are certain things that you don't do to make it completely evident to the bad guys. Hey, here's where we are. Here's what's going on. I will use an example from my days back in the late 90s, early 2000s in local news media, when they would stage a giveaway and they would give away TVs. At least that's what people thought. And what the law enforcement officers would do is they would mail out and say, you have won a free HD TV, and they'd mail them out to deadbeat dads who weren't paying child support and things like that. And by the way, if you're a deadbeat dad and you're deadbeat because you choose not to be, not because you can't be, or can't be a full supporting father, but if you choose not to be, you're just not a man, and that's a whole different story. Right. But literally, they'd show up. They'd show up because it would be, hey, we're going to be at a hotel. We've got a ballroom. And they'd come waltzing in. Hey, where's my TV? And then all of a sudden they got bracelets.
It's right here next to these silver cuffs.
Right.
Now, as a reporter, knowing this was going to happen, I couldn't go on TV and say, oh, guess what they're about to do? If you get a postcard that says you've won a free HD TV and you're a deadbeat dad, you might not want to show up at the Holodome in Lafayette.
Right.
Right? Well, apparently this reporter, Ethan Levin, and I say reporter, I use that very loosely here, but this guy gave away air defense positions for the United States, Israel, in the Middle East on social media and is under heavy fire for it. My implicit bias says that absolutely crosses a line. I mean, Chris, your thoughts as you grab that microphone?
Well, I'm with you. That it blows my mind that somebody would give away your own country as far as the defense system. You know what defenses are there, and put that out there to the world in such a loose manner as a social media post. I mean, I don't know how this fellow came into contact with that information. First of all,
he could be living abroad. He could be living in an area where they are staging air defense systems. But apparently he gave away more than just, I live in Metairie and we've got a surface-to-air missile deployment system in Metairie. No, this was, I live at 29 North, 36 West. This was really specific, correct, Caleb?
He gave away a lot of specific information, but now here's part of that, okay, or a part that doesn't go, it's not as easy. You have human intelligence, you have OSINT, which is open source information, and a good intelligence operative can figure out 99% of what they need from you without you ever realizing or giving up solid information. And when it comes to social media, we have so many people who have Snapchat, who have Instagram, have Facebook, have X, and all this other stuff. When you post a photograph, the metadata in that photograph has
everything.
It has all your lat long. It is a 10-digit grid. It can bring you down to within plus or minus 3 feet. You can text me a picture right now, Chris. Mm-hmm. Take any picture from your phone, text it to me, and I can pull it up in my phone and I can give you the address of where that photo was taken. And that's me not doing anything illegal.
Right.
Which is exactly how we know where the guy who basically threatened us on Facebook, we know where he lives.
It wasn't hard to find.
Oh, no, not difficult at all.
So when you look at some people do things and they're very overt about it. Human intelligence. We're only intelligent because of sheer numbers. Look, recently, with all the stuff going on, our DOD, the Department of Defense, put out information to all current service members and said, hey, turn off your Snapchat location. Turn off locations on Instagram. Turn off this. We've had this problem since the advent of social media because people go on and they post a picture. They're like, in the Porta-John, just cleaning out the pipes. And now you know exactly where they are at that point in time. That's just how it is, and we need to be more intelligent about good operational security, good OPSEC, because we don't have it.
And that brings me to, though, the intent to do it.
And he purposely...
This is very different than, hey, I put a picture on Snapchat just to send it to my mom, put it out there, and it got 40,000 views, and I happen to be stationed in the Middle East. No, that's not what this is. This was, hey... over here, if you're looking for a surface-to-air missile location, it's right here. I'm going to make sure that everybody knows about it. That, to me, is where you really get into the difference between an accident and a crime that is, as Chris said it, treason.
Yes, I was wondering how this is not treason. You're talking about a wartime situation, and this person is pointing out to the enemy where United States Patriot missile installations are.
I find this really
active.
interesting.
How is that not treasonous?
We have been on this show before, and I love that Chris, we call him the consigliere because a counselor will push back on your thought process, at the very least, simply to make you go through the additional thought process to check your own balance of being right. But Chris will push back on us, and I love it because we go back and forth and we talk about it. And we actually brought up, I was like, look, I think this is treason. He's like, nah, I don't think this meets this. Chris is the one who brought up the T word, and I don't mean testosterone in this instance. This, to me, is absolutely treason. And what I find even more hysterical is now this same guy apparently is on social media and crying on, hey, I'm getting threats over this.
Well, what do you expect was going to happen?
He should get threats.
Yeah. If you endangered me, my kids, or someone else,
on his door.
Yeah, someone's going to show up to his house and be like, hey, look, hey, Sergeant First Class so-and-so that's stationed over there, that's my nephew. I'm here to break your legs.
That and or aside might be United States government knocking on his door saying, hey, buddy, you're endangering.
He'd be much happier if it was the
our
government
troops.
official.
Yeah, I really, I think there should be 3 letters in his future, which is NKW, a no-knock warrant. That's our implicit bias. By the way, thanks again to all of our Facebook followers out there. We're over 10,000 thanks to you. We appreciate all the downloads, all the stuff, whether it's on Podcast, X, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We appreciate you being with us. If you don't get hour 2 of Implicit Bias Radio in your radio market, call the station. Tell them, hey, Hour 2 is always more fun on Implicit Bias Radio. We'll be right back. Hour 2 is always more fun on Implicit Bias Radio. Why? Well, because usually we have multiple weekly whiskeys, and we are not afraid to partake of multiple weekly whiskeys on the show. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, and yes, we have another weekly whiskey. We've only got a couple people partaking of it, and that's okay. Let's introduce you to the crew who's here this week in the Mr. Lester's Top Secret Podcast lair. Caleb Morris is over there nose humping that glass. I believe that's what, 4, Caleb?
No, this is my first glass of
Correct,
the
your
Stogie
first glass
batch.
of the Stogie batch, but it's,
5th.
that's what I thought. There we go. Now we know.
Someone's got a drink for Chris.
2A.
2A. Yeah, this is 2A, not 1F, right? So that is Caleb Morris, your co-host. You also heard from the consigliere, Chris Castro, on the show. It's a pleasure to have him back. It's kind of a New Orleans show because we've got K&B on the show who does Big a Bet of Diamonds for Less, Grant Pilatus. It's a pleasure to have you here. 3 New Orleans guys in the TSPL is always fun because you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
Unfortunately, and that's not always a good thing. That's all right, because we do have somebody here who can do nothing about it, and that is Walker Griffon, who actually, I'm shocked, Walker has a second pour here this evening. Are you feeling all right, Walker?
2 weeks in a row.
Oh, I thought Kennedy left you or something. I'm like, what's going on
We're all
here?
good on that side.
Oh, all good.
good. Very
I'm
good.
I'm
We're all
glad
good.
to hear that. Glad to
She
hear
hasn't
that.
sobered up yet.
Oh, yeah, Walker, we're just glad to hear that the Rooflin works for you. Okay, so let's dive back into the weekly whiskey, which we started with a weekly whiskey from a member of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. Champagnes in Abbeville. We're thrilled to have them as a partner, and they brought their Crittenden's Cut Above single barrel bourbon whiskey at 112 proof. It's 112 and change. We loved it. A unanimous blue here on the show. Fantastic drink. Absolutely would do it again, especially at Grant. You still wearing it? Yes.
Yeah.
At Grant's price of $52 and change for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain. All right. Yeah. Presented by Box Drop. So this one is another Crittenden's, but this comes out of North Louisiana. We appreciate our listeners in all of our markets. Matter of fact, we're actually recording early this week, so I can go do a market visit in New Orleans where I'll do a guest appearance on another show there, and we're actually going to meet with the owner of Crittenden's on Wednesday. So it should be a really interesting conversation with us having 2 of these pours. But we got to thank Alan Rawls up at KMLB for bringing this bottle down and offering it up.
I was very impressed how he handed it to you and was like, "You can't have it yet, Caleb."
He knows better.
Yeah.
Because the restraint with whiskey, Caleb, let's be honest,
Look,
it's
I know my limits.
and we're glad that you do, because we're also wish though that even though you know them, you would actually adhere to them. But that's a whole other
No,
thing.
you got to push the limits.
And there we go. Okay, so this is a cigar batch, Stogie batch, officially, of Crittenden's Cut Above. I'm curious as to where this goes, because I'll be honest, I'm not usually a cigar blend guy. So for those who haven't had a cigar blend bourbon or whiskey, sometimes they will actually smoke the barrel with cigar smoke, with cigar tobacco, but most of the time it's just the blend of the whiskey, the way that they actually put it together in the barrel that gives it somewhat of a cigar-esque type of flavor. I've had them before. I'm not a huge cigar guy. So it's interesting for me to see how this drinks, to see where this sits, because I'm told that a cigar blend is an absolutely fantastic whiskey if you get it done right. So we're about to figure this out. Caleb, we'll go ahead and start with you because you are a cigar guy
I happen to thoroughly enjoy them. And
frequently.
look, this one is finished in cognac, Armagnac, port, añejo tequila, apple brandy, maple syrup, and a word I can't pronounce, Scotch barrels. Leprechaun.
I was about to say, I love the way you tried to say something for Scotch in a Mexican accent.
Yeah.
You were like,
Look.
lepra. No, that's not
I
going
gave
to
up.
be Scottish.
Try to say that word. It's
Okay,
fancy.
hold on. Now you're going to, well, I got to hope that I can actually read it.
So this one, actually, on the nose and on the palate, I get the Rocky Patel ALR, which is, to me, it's a really good, mild, medium body cigar. It's got that wonderful cigar flavor. This is one of the best cigar, or they call it Stogie batch, but best cigar blends I've had.
Okay, so
It
first
is
of all,
phenomenal.
I have to put on,
Your glasses, because
yes,
the
because
font,
I couldn't see
at
it.
72 font, that's too small.
Caleb, when you actually grow up and you become a full man, your eyes will start to go too. And
my eyes give me problems when it's anything past 1,000 meters.
I am not even going to bother to attempt that.
Yeah,
Because in Scottish,
the
only thing that comes to mind with this is I look at this and I go, oh, I got a turtle head poking out. Get in my belly. Right?
When I tried to read that word, like in my brain, I sounded like a Mercedes Unimog backfire. Like blah, 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 blah. It's too many consonants, not enough vowels for me.
I may not be drinking it, but I'd like to see that bottle.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to send it over to him while we hear from Walker. Walker, I'm curious as to what you think of this Stogie batch from Crittenden's Cut Above.
I don't know if I've ever had a Stogie batch whiskey, but this is really, really solid. I enjoy this one thoroughly.
Okay, so what do you enjoy about it?
It's kind of like, it's not like the other one we had, but it does go down smooth. It doesn't really have too much of a bite to it. And I do get smelling it.
Mid palate, if you notice on your mid palate, like kind of draw the tongue back a little bit, and it's deep, dark pipe tobacco or cigar tobacco. And it's got this beautiful smoky flavor. Very impressive.
So, you know, I mentioned that I've had a cigar batch bourbon before.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't my thing.
We had an old elk on here once before.
We did. Yeah, very long time ago.
Pour that and smell it.
It was memorable. Not good memorable. It was memorable for me. It did not fit my palate. This is fantastic. This is so good because you get some of the complexity on the palate of a cigar, of what I actually do like about cigars. But unlike an actual cigar, and this was my problem with the Old Elk was so over the top with regards to the cigar flavors.
It's very smoky.
That I got what I get with cigars. It's that I felt like when I wake up the next morning, it's going to feel like and taste like a small pack animal is taking a dump in my mouth.
I
This
didn't taste it, but it smells good.
gives you those wonderful flavors of a cigar. But when I tell you, the finish is fantastic. It sits on the palate beautifully. It gives you the big, beautiful, bold bourbon flavors. You get that sweetness. You get that almost pipe tobacco,
Yep.
not necessarily
Very
cigar
aromatic.
tobacco. Yeah, it's incredibly aromatic.
When I saw that Añejo tequila, I was like, ooh, and then I was like, apple brandy.
This is deep. It's
but it's
dark.
there.
It's sultry. It's beautiful on the palate. It is luxurious. It's velvety. And oh my goodness, it is so good. This is almost an after dinner cocktail.
It's not
In
sweet enough to be a dessert,
Correct.
but this would be a perfect way to finish the night.
This to me is when you are sitting after a fantastic meal and you're having a conversation afterwards and you just are talking and want something to close it out that gives you that hint of sweet on the palate.
Smoking a pancake.
Yes.
Bong and a blitz.
This is
Michael Jack and a cigarette.
Walker. There is no helping.
I like how
this young man.
we were right there. That was very good.
There is
Very good.
no helping this young man, is there? None. And see, this not only dates me, but it tells you, and it's funny because as much as we do like spirits on this show, I'm not a fan really of anything else. Never even tried it, never wanted to try anything else. I'm good enough with what this does to me after too many, much less trying to go somewhere else. You can tell those who are, though. And that's the big problem. No, this is, when I tell you this is fantastic. So this actually came from Beef and Barrel up in the Monroe area. If you are listening in Monroe, go to Beef and Barrel. Tell them you heard about it on Implicit Bias Radio. Tell them that they should be a part of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. We'd love to have them. This is just that good and very surprising. Chris, you're not partaking, and our description, I think.
It's killing me.
Okay, but you did pour a glass, so you could nose hump it a little bit. What are you getting?
Oh man, I'm not so great with all the scents. I have to say, I was looking at this bottle, really beautiful color, nice and rich, you know, and beautiful deep brown. And I did give it the smell.
You got to eat that microphone, brother.
I'd
You know what
say,
you're doing. Pull
you
it
know-
to you. There you go.
Sweetness, kind of like you say, maple. I'd say a little maple syrup type smell. And really, that's about it, man. It's tempting you with all of the descriptors you're giving me, like the devil.
Oh, come on, Chris. You got to say that right. What are we? Bobby Boucher? The devil.
But like I said, the color looks great, I have to say. And I really look forward to having some of it after Lent. I will also suggest to you that it says on the back of that bottle that it's one of 1,600. So
Correct. This is a
better
rare
go
bottle.
and get it.
So this is a rare bottle. You're not going to get it everywhere. And Alan Rawls absolutely did us right, because if he was recommended this,
Lafroig.
Lafroig.
La Proeg, there we go. Trust Galatas. Trust Galatas on this one.
Lafroig.
Or as we would say in New Orleans, trust Galatas on this one.
It rhymes with coy. Lafroig.
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 But the PH.
It's La Freaking
Yeah.
Fantastic. That's all I know, and that's all I care to know. That's how good this is. I mean, this is absolutely special as well. It's rare we get two blues on the same show, much less from the exact same distillery.
Everything about all the different flavors in that barrel, though, the flavoring of it is really quite unusual, I have to say. So
Normally, I would have thought it would be too much going on. Normally, I would have thought, man, there's just so much here. It can't be. But the blending, the finishing has been done at an expert level. I mean, like, this is the guy who can finish level 5, scene 1 of Mario Bros. In 2.5 seconds without losing a character, right? I mean, that's how expert level this is. What, Caleb? You're making faces over there.
I'm reading all this stuff. So, like, Lafroig means a beautiful hollow by a broad bay. Apparently, it's one of the most sought after Scotch whiskeys for its smokiness.
But here's the beautiful part of this. I don't get any peat on this. That does not come through.
Not a bit of peat or
And
peter.
It really, really flavors this nicely.
5 years as well.
Another 5-year whiskey.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed this was a 5-year. Never have guessed this was 5 years.
What do you think the proof is?
Oh, now if I had to go with the proof, my gut tells me around 120. That's what my gut tells me. For some reason, I'm thinking this is around 120 because it has just enough aggression to it, but it's proofed so well. To me, it masks it. How far off
We
am
both were wrong today. 113.
I? 113. Okay. I mean, again, a little off, but the proof on it at 113 is still fantastically proofed. You would never guess if you didn't know. If you're not a proof hound like we are, you'd probably never guess if you sip this that it's 113. You'd think, oh, it's probably 95, 90. Just we drink a little more whiskey than maybe we should. That's all. Don't tell my doctor. So, what, Caleb?
I mean, you can tell your doctor that. Like, when I go to the doctor, he's like, do you drink? And I was like, how often?
Yeah, no. The question is not do I drink. The question is how many drinks a week.
Yeah, and I chase it with water.
Yeah, and then my doctor tells me, well, you should really, maybe have a few less. And then I look at him and say, well, you should really catch a really bad case of hemorrhoids just because of your opinion.
You go to a different
I don't like
doctor.
that. What's that?
You go to a very different doctor. When I go to the VA and talk to him, he's like, what do you recommend this week?
See, that's where I'd rather be with my doctor-patient relationship.
Bring him a cut above.
I need to.
If you're looking for something special, look, go to Champagne's in Abbeville, get their store pick. If you can find one of these, because as Chris said, this is one of 1,600 bottles.
Yeah.
It is virtual unobtainium. So do y'all want to play What Would You Pay and give Grant a chance to maybe relinquish the belt?
Sure.
All right. Walker, let's start with you. What would you pay for this bottle of Crittenden's Stogie Batch?
65.
You were a cheapskate. You know that?
Yeah,
you just don't want the belt.
There's like 7 barrels involved with this.
Which means that every barrel that it's finished in makes it more
Yep.
expensive. All right.
65.
Yeah, you're still cheap. All right. Grant, you want to try? Because Grant, I think you tried this one, correct?
Yeah. Chris poured, so I didn't want to let it sit there.
Thank you.
Huh?
And
You want the price, or you want to know what I think?
I want to know what you think first.
You know what I think? Listen to your description, how all of the flavors and it reminded me of like a port on steroids,
Okay.
just like a whiskey port.
I
Because
can
of
see
all
that.
of those flavors.
It's intense.
But your description was after dinner with the good fruity, the nice blend of all of it. Yeah, I think it's just a really heavy port,
Okay.
but it's very good.
Okay. So what would you pay?
750 rubles.
What is the conversion rate right now on a ruble?
That's why I'm not. Gonna
All right.
Where does he rate it?
So Castro. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, y'all. Oh,
Yeah, sure, rate
blue.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely a blue.
Okay. Castro, you got a whiff.
I got a whiff, and I'm gonna guess I'm gonna be kind of in Walker's range of about $70.
All right. What do you rate
He's
it?
not a cheapskate.
Well, I didn't taste it, so
He's trying not to win. You're cheating.
well. I'm looking at the region where it comes from, and I would think that for some reason causes it to be a little more economical. I have to admit. I think that if it came out of Tennessee or somewhere that's a typical, bourbon country,
Okay.
I would say that it might be a little more, priced that way. But I think for some reason, just because it comes out of Mississippi, doesn't change the how great it is. And how much it smells intense and excellent, but I do believe it's probably going to be a little more economical.
All right. Caleb, what about you?
So I'm going to do math. We're going to go off. We're going to go off the very easy $10 per year, and we're going to add in $12 for each barrel change. There are 7 of those sons of a gun. So 84 plus 50, $134.
$134. That is okay. So I have just looked this up because Grant
You forgot.
refused to. 730 rubles translates to $103.
Don't even.
And Grant is on the nose. $103. He gets to wear the What Would You Pay championship belt chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette for the remainder of the
Ready for
show.
the cough button? Ready for the cough button? You're foolish.
No, Grant. No, how could you accuse me of being full of it on the show? You mean to tell me that you think I would lie about that in order to make sure you get to keep wearing the chain?
Absolutely.
You're absolutely correct, too. I don't care. You get to wear it. This is Implicit Bias Radio. More stories when we come back. Implicit Bias Radio back on the air, solving the problems of the world. If you're not with us, you are against us. So what are we about this week for you to be with or against? Let's start by telling you who's in the Mr. Lester's TSPL. Caleb Morris, your co-host, is in the chair like mine.
Rock and roll.
He needs to calm down. I'm just saying. At the bar, we've
Where's my
got
theme music, Walker?
At the bar, we've got K&B. He is Grant Galatas of William Snake Call Jewelers, along with the consigliere, Chris Castro, who's back with us. We got 3 New Orleanians on the show, which means that there could be problems. All right, so speaking of if you're not with us, you're against us, we talked about our favorite reporter from the Middle East who was giving away defensive positions and all this stuff, which, I mean, dude, if you're not on the team, then you're obviously on their team. And that's not a good place to be right now. But here's the really fun part. I think the bigger potential world upheaval right now is not going on in the Eastern Hemisphere. I believe it's going on in the Western Hemisphere. I believe that what we are seeing go on, about what, 51 miles south of Miami, Florida, could be the biggest 90. Yeah, it might
90
be
miles. 90
It's
miles.
90 miles from Miami. It's what, 50 miles from the Keys or something like that.
From Key West?
There's something like that. But regardless, really, 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 really freaking close to the United States.
Paddle boat distance.
Flotation raft or flotilla distance from the United States is what's going on in Cuba. Because for the first time in 2 generations, we may see a Cuban government that is more friendly with the United States than it is with the Soviet Union. And I think that is a huge deal.
I have no counter argument.
Yeah.
Well, you can
Like,
expound upon the argument. I mean, that's
here
what
we have-
this is a radio talk show. See, that means you're on the radio.
We have
you have
Cuba
to talk.
that is having their biggest energy crisis since the fall of the Soviet Union. They haven't had any new oil come in or new petro come in 3 weeks. And why is that? Anybody know why that is?
What's happened in the last 3 weeks with oil?
It's all with Venezuela.
That's
the,
where-
embargo.
They purchased the majority of the oil from Venezuela, so they're running low. They're
Running out.
they're out.
As of today, there was, and this being an early recording, there was a power outage.
Yep.
Their
Yep.
entire electrical grid
They're
went
running
shot.
Most of their electrical grid was built in the 70s and 80s with Soviet Union help. Right now, they're doing what they can off solar and natural gas, and they're not set up to run natural gas properly, which would be more cost effective.
They don't serve beans in Cuba?
Oh,
I'm funny, huh?
yeah. So they're
Please
having
laugh at me.
They've had multiple rolling blackouts. They've had all kinds of other issues, and here we have people that are actually in the streets saying, "Please overthrow our government and help us put in something new." Because they put was it chairs, office work, and then a building, the Communist whatever party building. They
Yep.
set it on fire today.
Yep. They absolutely went after the Communist Party central building in Cuba. And I mean, 2-3 days ago, you had the new Cuban I don't even know what they call him anymore. Because he's not the supreme leader. I mean, he's not up there going, oh, it needs to be pointy. No, he's just the guy in Cuba who doesn't have a beard like Fidel. But my point is, he was actually saying, look, we want to negotiate with the United States. We want to engage in talks with the United States. And now, the people are actively in revolt saying, we would rather deal with the United States. And they are no longer apparently in fear of the reprisal that they were for so long under Fidel.
Well, and look, with the rolling blackouts and everything else, the problems they're having, you have to look. One of the biggest problems with that is refrigeration.
Right.
And one of the biggest things that you need to have refrigeration for is not just groceries, but medicines. They said they have had over 10,000 surgeries canceled because they couldn't perform surgery. So we have a government that is crippled, and we didn't do a damn thing.
Let's be really clear. And so first of all, I love what you just said there, because please ring the bell. That is a huge takeaway. We didn't drop a bomb. We didn't fire a shot. We didn't send a soldier. We didn't do anything. And they are capitulating right now. That's number one. Number two, Caleb, you said their systems aren't working. The government has already collapsed. They have no governmental infrastructure. They cannot take care of the people. And when you can't take care of the people, this is what happens. And let me tell you, when you think about the strategic importance of Cuba and what's there, that island has the opportunity to be a strategic military significance for the United States because, man, those waters go straight into the Atlantic. You've got opportunity for bases there.
If we had done a better job with occupying Puerto Rico and instilling a proper government there, because Puerto Rico is one of our territories.
Correct.
Right.
If we had treated them well and done better with them, I would say, hey, here's our chance to do that with Cuba. But we really screwed Puerto Rico up.
Okay, so I don't think you can say those two things all in the same sentence, because if we really went there and we set it up, you could say that we screwed Cuba. Or we screwed Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
But the reality is Puerto Ricans screwed Puerto Rico.
We didn't.
Because we tried to send supplies, we tried to send aid, and what did a reporter from somewhere in Lafayette eventually find?
I forgot about that.
Remember? He found warehouses full of aid after they got wiped out by a hurricane, and literally the political elite in Puerto Rico were hoarding it for themselves. So what we are, and this is maybe the new regime philosophy coming out of DC. So it's almost, I think, a full-on historical change in Western approach to opposing governments is this. We're not going to do regime change. We're not going to do what the CIA did under Allen Dulles and all this. We're like, I pick you to run the government. We're going to go kill everybody else. We're going to put you in place and you're going to do exactly what we tell you, which is what the Dulles doctrine essentially was. We're saying, well, here's what we don't like. And if you like those things, we're just going to kill you too until there's none of you left to then go ahead and put people in that we do like.
You're like, oh, you voted for who we wanted.
Correct.
Imagine that.
And what it appears that our current administration wants are people who are business friendly to the United States. It just seems like a very different philosophy than, pretty much any president in my lifetime.
Yeah. And look, Puerto Rico could have been what we did with Hawaii. Puerto Rico could have, they still can do a lot. I've worked with a lot of guys from the Puerto Rican National Guard and all that kind of stuff. And they want, but there is a massive thumb of their own people upon them. And that's my fear with Cuba, is here. The people want change because they've been under communism for
since 1960.
Yes,
It was
what,
60?
80
Probably 60,
years?
62, something.
Yes.
I thought it was before that because, we had the Cuban Missile Crisis in 63.
Well, let's call it 100 years.
It was under
100
JFK that we had the Cuban Missile Crisis.
So
I
that's
can't remember if it was
63.
63. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, it was 63 when he got assassinated. So I don't know if the missile crisis was 62, 63, but somewhere around there.
So 40 plus 26, it was 66 years. We'll call it 70 years. And here's the chance for the people to make a difference there.
Agreed.
Because look, Cuba, for a little while, their economy was bouncing back because of tourism and everything else. And then COVID crushed that. And then they never attempted to recover after that.
Right.
They didn't make themselves appealing to any people besides their own. And unfortunately, in the economy that we have today, you have to have an appeal. You have to have a reason to come. And look, I think Renee's been to Cuba a few times. I really don't know, but for cigars and everything else, I know he goes to the Dominican.
Yep.
So I would think that he's been there. And there's ways for them to market themselves better, but under communism, that's never going to happen.
I guess one of my concerns about Cuba is what's going on in Haiti, where you have just rogue
militias or militants.
Just gangs that are out there gunning each other down, and there's no oversight, no governmental body that helps to stabilize it. And it seems like that's a void. It's a real potential opportunity, I guess, in Cuba. I don't know what the status might be on people with weapons down there and things such as that, but it reminds me of a Haiti type situation, which is terrible for the people there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just an absolute.
Well, I mean,
Yes,
it's
terrible.
it's Haiti, it's Jamaica, and the last thing you want is the evil villain from James Bond, the Sprite guy running around with the stuff on his face, running things.
Right.
That is not what you want,
No.
right?
So I don't know how you address that, or what
Grant
do you
got the
put in
joke.
place?
Grant's the only one who picked up the joke. Okay,
I was trying to put it together.
we got to take a break. Walker's telling us we need to break. Our penultimate segment coming up after this, Walker.
Yep.
Wow, rolling through this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Don't go away. Fun stories right around the corner. Implicit Bias Radio, the penultimate segment. That is the second to last segment. We used to call it the Sam Stokes rest in peace segment. No, and he's not actually dead. He's just dead to us. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Welcome back to Implicit Bias Radio. Caleb Morris, our co-host, is enjoying that whiskey a little bit too much. You still on the cigar? Not the cigar, the Stogie batch.
Stogie batch, I am.
Fantastic. We got Grant Galatas at the bar from William S. Called Jewelers. Big up at a Diamonds for less from K&B, bruh. What, Grant? You're laughing over there like I speak lies.
No, it's true though. We hadn't said the old bigger, better diamonds for less. We usually do it a little bit occasion to occasion.
But it's been a while.
Yeah,
It's
has been.
yeah, and
Well,
literally
K&B took over. It just fits so nice.
K&B does fit nicely.
there you go.
It does. Yeah. And then the consigliere next to you, another New Orleans guy, Chris Castro. It's great to have you here with us, Chris.
Good to be here. Check.
Okay, so Walker, by the way, is on actually back. This is what, 2 weeks in a row? What's the over-under on how many before he misses the next episode? Because there's an over-under here.
Are we in the predictions game now?
Well, I mean, I'm out next week, so he'll be here.
I'm not necessarily predicting, but I am maybe taking, let's say, monetary suggestions on how you think he's going to be here or not. No, seriously, we know Walker won't be here next week anyway. So let's go ahead and dive into, this is a story that we've talked a little bit about on the show. And I had to look at it and say, is this true? And the reality is, yes. So please don't believe me on this. Please go look this up. But when we say if you're not with us, you're against us, this is what we mean. Because yes, there is one big club and we ain't in it. And this is how you know. So a very, very, very long time ago, there were two car companies that were essentially about to run the world. Ford, who to this day is really one of the premier, and when I say premier, I mean just sheer numbers of manufactured vehicles across the globe. Henry Ford really started a revolution, and that revolution is still going on today with Ford Motor Products. Well, one of their big competitors were a couple of brothers who happen to have the last name, as we would pronounce it today, Doge, but it's actually Dodge. And that story is incredibly interesting. So here's the story. Henry Ford created what? The assembly line. Everybody knows that he was the pioneer of utilizing the assembly line in manufacturing, one of the key things that led to the Industrial Revolution in the United States, because it gave us the ability to mass produce product at an incredibly, ridiculously high rate, especially for that time. Well, Ford actually valued the people who worked for him. So one of the things that Ford would do to gain a competitive edge was Ford wanted to pay his workers more than he was currently paying them. The Dodge brothers had a little bit of a conundrum going on. Number one, they had to be able to afford to stay competitive in the market with regards to wages. And they wanted to take that money and put it in their wallet. So what did the Dodge brothers do? The Dodge brothers said, well, we can try and stay competitive and pay a competitive wage, and whoever's got the better place to work would win, or they could get creative legally, consigliere. So the Dodge brothers filed suit against Ford. They filed a lawsuit against Ford and stipulated that it is not a corporation's responsibility to better their workers. It is a corporation's responsibility to provide the largest amount of money to their shareholder and therefore block Ford from paying their workers higher wages, better amounts that would eat into Ford's ability to pay its shareholders. Want to guess who won? Want to know why wages today have trouble sometimes keeping up with publicly held corporations? Chris, you want to fill in the rest of that story? Do you know it?
I really don't know the story, but I'm going to say that Ford won.
Ford lost.
Ford lost.
Ford lost, Dodge won, and Dodge said, guess what, Ford, you can't pay that to your workers.
Right.
You're paying them too much because your responsibility is to the shareholder,
right.
not to the worker, and therefore kept wages down so Dodge could be more competitive and keep more of their own money.
I think
Is
it's more
Dodge
than
a
just
functioning
being.
company today?
Dodge today is.
Yeah.
They are. They are.
I think it's
they're
more-
called Ram, or they were. There is no more Dodge.
Well, it's Dodge Ram, but the Ram is owned by Dodge.
I think it's Ram now.
It's all
they did was change the branding on
Yeah,
it.
it's all
right?
Chrysler.
But yeah,
Yeah, right.
So
and I don't even think Chrysler is.
Oh, yeah.
Daimler Chrysler is.
That's right. And Ford is
Still
Ford.
there.
Yeah.
And I think it's more than just them being competitive, right? So this happened in what was it, 1914?
1919, right?
1914 is whenever the Dodge brothers left Ford
Correct.
to start their own business. And the Dodge brothers, own 10% of the stake
Right.
in
Ford.
Ford. So whenever this happened and Ford lost the case, they had to pay in 1919 $19 million in dividends from a lump sum. Traditionally, Ford had paid $40 million a year in dividends. So that equates to $19 million in today's money, $350 million.
In dividends.
In dividends. And Ford said, we've been paying enough. We want to reinvest. We want to build bigger factories,
Yep.
pay our people better, improve the assembly line.
Right.
Dodge used the cash influx to go from being a pain in Ford's ass to being a competitor.
Right.
It
It was a very strategic move, but it set precedent for the corporate law that we have today, where now you look at Apple, Tesla, and Amazon. Okay. What are they trying to do? In the beginning, Apple, Tesla, and Amazon said, hey, instead of paying out big dividends,
Yep.
we're going to reinvest. We're going to do this. And all these people in the United States are like, well, that's amazing. That's a novel idea. In 1919, Ford tried doing it, and the Supreme Court shot him down.
because the argument was the responsibility is not to the worker, the
The
responsibility is to
shareholder
the
first.
shareholder.
Shareholder first and foremost.
Correct. And to your point, with Dodge being a direct competitor and them owning percentages in Ford, the massive conflict of interest
Yep.
is amazing what was not called out there. Just amazing what was not called out. Grant, you have been like completely quiet through this process, and I'm shocked because normally you would have an opinion on this.
It's brilliant. I would love to know whose brainchild that was because it was absolutely brilliant.
It's deviously brilliant to me.
But it's a complete counter argument or counterpoint to ethical. Dead serious.
We are here to argue.
It's so very impressive that someone's brilliant legal mind came up with this. But you need a legal mind to do that because it is so openly unethical and just nasty.
As my father used to say, business ethics class is very, very easy because it's three phrases. There are none, and there are none.
There you go.
And
But it's
that's,
beautiful. That was from a strategic point of view. That was absolutely beautiful.
it was 5D chess.
Yeah, because the Supreme Court got a hold of it and said, you know what? That's a
Yep.
damn good point.
Well,
You know,
so
and they sat down. They said, instead of taking on investors in our company, instead of getting a loan, instead of selling ourselves out like Ford did to us, because they had a machine shop and they would build parts for Ford, and they built up a stake of 10%. They said, you know what? We'll figure out a way to make our competitor pay us to be a bigger chess piece.
and the issue that I have with it is if as a partner with Ford, as the Dodge brothers were, Ford made me a 10% owner in a stake where they were paying out $40 million a year in dividends on the stock that I had. I would never look at that partnership and be like, man, I just don't know if you're doing right by me.
You're just not giving me enough.
Correct. I mean, the definition, I'm waiting to see Gordon Gekko walk out and go, greed.
Isn't that
is
Dodge's
good.
way of doing business, though? Like, they want you to pay him more to get the base model.
Oh, look, I don't know what their perspective is.
I'm saying when you
today.
look at the Laramie, or what?
The Laramie?
Isn't that Dodge's like bougie model?
I don't know. We got a minute, so we got to close this out.
Yeah.
Walker's giving us the 1 minute finger.
It's still a work truck.
Hey, I will say this. I have seen really nice Dodge trucks, Ram trucks. They make a really beautiful truck. I mean, it's nice. But I'm going, gee, if I buy it, are they going to come get something from me because I'm not giving enough to their shareholder? We will come back because you are our shareholder. We do care about you. We also want to make things better for the people working here, except for Walker because he deserves what he gets. We'll be back. Final segment of this episode of Implicit Bias Radio.
He's not a shareholder.
No, he's not. Logan Smith is going to join us on this final segment of this week's episode of Implicit Bias. Caleb's looking confused. What's the matter?
Oh, I'm not paying attention.
All I said was Logan Smith is going to join us. I mean, how do you mean not pay attention to that?
Yeah, now I'm curious who Logan Smith is, to be honest with you.
So that's what a lot of people are wondering. And that's why this final segment of Implicit Bias Radio might be somewhat enthralling for those who might know. And if you don't,
now
we'll
I'm tracking like a top-loaded VCR.
that works. Okay, so Logan Smith was an account, and I believe it was at Logan Smith, Logan_Smith 526 on what then was Twitter. It wasn't even X at the time. It was Twitter. It was 2022. And Logan Smith wrote the following. Update. The Queen dies September 8th, 2022. This post was written on July 2nd, 2022. So 2 months before September 8th, 2022. And check that. It was, July 6th, not July 2nd, July 6th, 2022. So officially 2 months before September of 2022 or September 8th of 2022. Then he writes, King Charles dies March 28th, 2026. And that's the post. That's it. That's all Logan Smith writes. Take a guess what happened on September 8th, 2022. Anyone? Walker, are you smart enough to figure this out? Didn't think so.
Someone played taps. Do they play
So
taps?
seriously, Walker, can you figure out where this is going?
Do they play taps in the UK?
I don't think so.
Probably not. They probably have some weird
I'm not
song.
gonna lie, I wasn't really paying attention. I was trying to fix the
Shocker.
computer.
Shocker. That's what I thought. Okay.
He's working.
The prediction came true. Now, here's what I will say. We don't necessarily know if the Queen died on September 8th, 2022. That was the day it was announced that she died. It is entirely possible that
It could have happened
days
before, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But the guy's post turns out to be true. He accurately predicted the future to the day 2 months in advance of when Queen Elizabeth was going to pass.
His nose is really big too, by the way.
Well, yeah, it's a picture of that's his profile photo is just his nose and his mouth. Anyway,
Yeah.
The stir on the internet was such a big thing that the guy deleted the account. Like the account went away, just disappeared. But the interesting part is he was right about one. And the real big question is he going to be right in a few days about the second one? So the second one will be the Thursday following the Saturday of this episode. So if you're listening, next Thursday, this coming Thursday, for us recording this show, it's a little bit more than a week. It's a week and a half. I'd love to know, first of all, here in the TSPL, what are the odds that somebody 2 months in advance predicts the day that it is announced that the Queen has died? What are the odds? Is it possible? Sure. How probable do we think this was?
I mean, do you think this is the next reincarnation of Nostradamus?
Did you say reincarnation?
No,
Time to cut you off. That's a new word, reincartation.
Yeah, it's similar.
Is that like a prediction of what car is going to go out of style and
No,
what
it's
date?
almost like carnation.
So it's about a flower.
Milk. No, milk.
Oh,
Condensed
okay.
milk.
So it's condensed milk.
Yeah.
Okay. So is it someone who then vomits up and recarnations their
yeah, exactly.
carnation?
100%.
Okay, there we go.
100%.
Okay. So seriously, I mean, what do you think is the probability of this guy being right on the first prediction?
Oh, it's got to be 1 in like 100 and something million, if not more.
Yeah, but y'all kind of threw a monkey in a wrench because if you say that's just the day that they announced it.
Well,
So she could have been. There's no telling when
She
she
could have
actually
been
passed.
dead
So
when they
that,
made
that
the
kind of. I mean,
post.
guessing if she was ill, if she had been ill leading up to this, and he just threw out a number, that's impressive, but not. I mean,
Okay.
The odds are against it. But look, if y'all messed it up for me when y'all said she could have passed any other time, but look, on,
even
on March,
the
March
Russian
28th,
judge
we'll
is
find-
giving it to this guy.
We'll find out how impressive this was on March 28th.
Yeah.
That's where I think the big
Yeah,
question lies.
Absolutely. If so, then we obviously have a time traveler.
Does it have to be a time traveler though? Because that's the bigger question.
In
I
my
have.
book, yes, it's easier for me to.
Well, yeah, but if he's a time traveler, wouldn't he like bet 10 grand on the fact that's the day? I mean, you can bet on anything now.
So that's one of the bigger questions I have, which is you've got all these betting apps out there.
Right.
If it's me and I'm him and I got one right, I probably put in a
Yeah.
prop bet back in 2022.
I got 50 grand on black.
Or even now.
Oh, 50 grand, man. I'm talking 10 grand would retire you for life on that. The odds that you could correctly predict.
Well, if he does a
both,
good parlay,
that's my point.
yeah.
A
Walker's starting to itch now. He's like, gambling.
a two bingo parlay as far as dates go
Yep, yep.
would be, and especially 4 years apart, 4+ years apart.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I'm going, man.
well, back then they didn't have that prediction, betting, but you can bet on almost everything now. So
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
that's still a pretty good bet, I would think. What's that? You say 14 days out? Let's say we're 16, so 28, 12 days.
yeah, 12
Yep.
days. Okay, so here's what brings me some pause with all of this, because shocker, I've got a theory that maybe is deeper than a time traveler. One of the reasons I said, well, that could have been the day it was announced, is it what if in July of 22, the Queen was already dead?
And that would be,
Which would also mean that if he gets this right about King Charles, what if the actual King Charles has not been with us for a number of years? And essentially, we've had the 7-foot-tall version of King Charles, like we had Joe Biden walking around for a day or two, or right? It's the body double question.
Right.
What if this guy really isn't a time traveler? What if he's just on the inside and he knows what's going on and knows other people's timelines and is like, oh, I know this guy actually has been expired, and I'm just going to put the dates out there to see who's watching.
Maybe he's an incredible makeup artist himself.
Well, I mean, think about the Jim Carrey thing where we still to this day don't know if that was Jim Carrey, if it was some dude in a mask. Jim Carrey's publicist says it was Jim Carrey. Then Jim Carrey says it wasn't me. And then, I mean, you've got all this going on.
well, and you have a trans person or whatever saying it was them too.
So my point is, we are getting to a point where we can no longer even verify that the people we see on video and people we see in interviews are actually the people that we verify and think are in interviews.
You can't even count fingers anymore.
I don't know, man. 6-fingered people have been around. You know why?
Yeah, look, Princess Bride.
Dude, because I was going to look at you and say, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. I am looking
One of
for
the
the
best
6-figured
movies.
man. Oh, yeah. The 6-fingered man, not 6-figured man. 6-fingered man. Yes. But this to me is kind of maybe where we are, which is we don't even know at this point how many tricks are being played on us because makeup artists have gotten so good. Cameras can't even tell anymore.
That's not makeup artists. That's CIA.
Well, I mean,
Look,
we know the story about George Bush and the CIA
absolutely.
disguise artist.
Yeah, from what I hear, that technology. The Mission Impossible movies
Yeah.
with the graphics, the way they do. From what I've heard in some of the CIA books, yeah, they've got this to where you can't even looking at them, even touching them. You can't tell.
You wouldn't even know if it was your implicit bias if it sat on your face and wiggled. That's going to do it for this week's show. We've had a blast. We hope you have too. I'm Kevon Bordelon. We hope that you will follow us on podcast, any platform, YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook. We appreciate all the likes, follows. We're going to do a giveaway. So hang tight for our 10,000th follower on Facebook. We're not giving it to the 10,000th follower. We're going to do it for 10,000 followers. Until then, though, hang tight. Watch Implicit Bias Radio. Be good, and we'll see you in 7. Cheers.